Welcome, everybody, to our very first episode of our teacher feature with Be Brilliant Network. Today, I have Jeff Hansford with us. Jeff is the owner of The Spirit Within Us. He is a shaman and a practitioner in multiple modalities, and he supports healing and transformation. So, welcome, Jeff.
Thanks, Elaine. Appreciate it. Excited to be here. Love being a part of the network too.
Wonderful, wonderful. Tell us
Yeah.
the name of your class.
The class that I have on the Be Brilliant network is called Basic Energy Management. It sounds simple, but it's something that's, I think, very important in my um, community outreach that I do. And it's kind of this thought that we need to manage our own energetic bodies and have at least some basic routines and hygienes, if you will, in place, much like we would with the physical body, but with the energetic body. And so, yeah, had our first one last month, and I think it was great. I'm excited for 2 weeks from now. We'll be back for round 1.1, I suppose you call it, since we're officially live now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that you're teaching about the energy body. I know I first learned about the energy body in 2009 when I took a class with Carol Lee McKay in Buffalo, New York at the Accelerated Healing Academy. And
Yeah.
I learned about energy from her and did energy practices. There's a lot that we can do to empower ourselves through this basic energy management.
I agree. I agree. And one thing that still surprises me from, a humble and understanding and compassionate place is, I work with a lot of my clients are very gifted. They're mediums or they're psychics. Maybe they read tarot. Um, at bare minimum, they're in the spiritual, metaphysical space. Some of them for decades. And especially, when most of us, I believe, in that crowd are so empathic, there's a fault in that. There's a lack in that place, and that's where I think the surprise comes across again from a humble place of, them not recognizing that or remembering the importance of the management of those things. And so, um, I found it, I find it such a simple exercise, a simple course that we can go through. And I love how you use the word empowerment because, as much as I love having clients and work in the healing space, what I would rather do is have people empowered on a day-to-day basis to take care and manage their own energies and keep themselves as clear as they possibly can and, know how to micromanage their own space. And so, yeah,
Yeah, I think it's really important, especially as energy workers, to really um, use those tools to clear the space before you work with another client. I
yeah,
know that that's often a suggestion that I receive for people who are, not in the energy space, just, people who are doing counseling or working with clients or just in a grocery store, working with people. Anytime we interact with people, there's an exchange of energy. Would you agree?
absolutely. Yeah, and I love what
Yeah.
you said. I think we see that across all, all space, like you mentioned, regardless of how aware people are of the energetic body or, if it's not a metaphysical, spiritual thing. We have invocations and openings at speeches and gatherings and conferences where, whether or not it's consciously done, there's intention setting and, there's
Mm.
space preparation and planning. And so it's really just shifting that as to drawing awareness to, the energy of that space or the energy we want to invite into that space and really just creating that as and honoring that as its own, sovereign container, if you will.
Hmm. So, Jeff, tell us, was there a particular moment or experience in your life that first set you on your healing path?
Yeah. I think that this changes every now and again for me. As I settle more and more into the work, and as our awareness grows, I look back at, big moments of my life where there might have been opportunity for change that was um, missed, or maybe it was a catalyst for, the greater growth that came. And for me, that was probably 6 or 7 years ago when I was divorced and went through kind of a life shakeup and was kind of stuck in a um, maybe more of like a negative mindset and, energetically scattered at that time. And so I think, if I were to pick a moment, it was probably then where things, converged and the universe really, initiated that big crack. Um, and those key, those key terms of like the dark night of the soul and some of those growth phases that we go through, I think came after that period. And, um, as far as being a healer and working in the healing space, really connecting with my shamanic teacher and mentoring and going down the medicine wheel with her, I think for me was really probably the end of the unconscious healing and realignment of the universe and the begin of the more, conscious and um, you know, divine timing of stepping into that space and that work. And that, came with stepping away from the corporate world and a lot of other things vibrating out of my life, which, as you know, and we talk about, as practitioners and in our courses, is not always the most fun, even when we are, in our energy and in our sovereignty, but some things dropped away that have really just continued that timing to
Mhm.
become a part of who I am and what I'm supposed to do.
Hmm. So you had a divorce. It was a big shakeup in your life,
Yeah,
and you chose it. You chose you chose to be on the path of healing.
yeah,
So I know there's that choice that we have to make when we have these really tough situations in life that we're in. Are we going to settle and accept it and just go
mm,
on the way we have been? Are we going to wallow in our pain and in our suffering? Or are we going to make the change that we want to make? And you chose to make changes.
yeah,
And you even said vibrating out of my life. I love that phrase.
yeah, yeah.
When you choose to, I often say, like, all right, universe, come on, give it to me. I'm ready to heal.
Uh-huh.
And you get pummeled, and it's like pummel, 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 lesson after lesson after lesson.
Yeah,
So I love that. And then people fall away. You talked about your corporate work falling away as you become more aware of yourself and who you are. So
definitely,
I love that you chose it. And we can all do that. And that's what we do as healers now is help people choose that
definitely.
and
And just
help.
remind them that that authenticity is theirs of the choosing,
Mhm.
that there's no set obligation or identity that's been given to us from others in our life. We really
Yeah.
have the sovereignty, and I love that word sovereignty too. I use it probably more often than is applicable sometimes, but we have the sovereignty to be authentic, to
Yeah.
choose what that identity or those roles that we're in, outside of what societal or structural definition of that might be.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. How would you say your life has changed as a result of really stepping into
Mm.
this identity and this work as a healer? How has your life changed?
Yeah. Dramatically, but also um, just a return to peace, I think, for me. You know, as far as putting it side by side with where my life was, 5 or 7 years ago, it's dramatically different. The relationships that I'm in, the roles that I play, the job and career that I'm in, is almost night and day different. But, who I am and what I've always liked to do and the more authentic pieces of myself have really just blossomed. I've remembered what I enjoy doing and what I'm here to do, what I want to do, and what I need to do have kind of merged, which feels really amazing. Um, and I mean this so sincerely. I really just enjoy what I'm doing right now, and I'm finding myself less and less caught up in some of those old paradigms and patterns, on a lower vibrational pre frequency that can trip us up. From a financial, um, future prediction place, I feel very disconnected in a healthy way. I don't let those things govern my decisions, although they're important and there's, practicality to those things. But, um, those anxieties and things that can dominate our thought patterns, I feel like have really dropped off as I just
Hmm.
step into knowing, like you said, that there is an exchange, that the universe ultimately holds us in the place that we're supposed to be and gives us what we need during that time. And I've just accepted that flow, and I have a lot of trust and spirit,
Mm.
and in myself and in my peer group right now and in my relationships that those hang-ups
Mm.
and things that happened before, nothing that I worry about anymore.
I love that.
Yeah,
You've really transitioned to being less caught up, were your words. I'm less caught up in things that used to bug me or bother me or hold me back. It's like you've freed a part of yourself
definitely.
to be more you in the world.
And your other half of your question on in stepping into a healer is that we have an opening for space in my lineage of shamanism, the Karo people of the Andes, and it's the opening of the four directions. It's really the six directions. We have the four cardinal directions of, the south and the west and the north and the east, but then we also honor Pachamama, which is, the Great Mother Earth, and then sky.
Mm.
And when we honor Pachamama, there's a line in that opening space that says, "We have gathered here for healing, knowing that every time we heal ourselves, we really help heal the all it is." And
Mhm.
so, yes, I'm blessed to share, some gifts and learned experience and techniques that I have in the modalities that I use.
Mm.
But it is as much healing, I think, for me, to offer that space to people to, at a bare minimum, feel and honor compassionately and
Mm.
empathically in a healthy way their
Mhm.
journey and their experience. And so,
Mhm.
especially in those deeper modalities that I work in, absolutely love being a part of everyone's journey. And I think every day I become more and more healed and
Mhm.
learn so much more and,
Mhm.
continue to weave this web of, healing and awakening and awareness and betterment that
Mhm.
really aligns, I think, again, back with this Be Brilliant network that you've rolled out, and
Mhm.
that's why it attracted me so much. I think we share an overlap in that wanting to have this community approach to
Mhm.
healing, and
Mhm.
for there not to be, barriers or
Mhm.
roadblocks in people's journey.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love hearing you share that. And when you talk about the four directions or the six directions and Mother Earth, it just
Mm.
really I can feel the aliveness in my heart. Like I just get so happy and I'm it makes me really excited to potentially, at our retreats that we have with Be Brilliant Network to experience some of that with you in ceremony.
Yes.
It'd be really beautiful.
I would love that. And
Mm.
um, yeah, that's the other thing too. I think we're remembering how important community is.
Mhm.
And a lot of the times remote is great, and most of my modalities I practice that way. In person is even better, and then that greater community aspect,
Mhm.
retreats. All of my shamanic trainings are done in person, and that's extremely important to me.
Mhm.
And I honor my teacher for doing
Mhm.
that. And um, someday we'll figure out how to get people portaled in from all over the world, and obviously that probably will remain as a roadblock. Um, but the experience and nature and outdoors and our, um, greater brother sisterhood in community is,
Mhm.
I think, moving back towards a vibrant place. We were at a difficult place, 5, 6 years ago, going through the whole COVID epidemic things that kind of forced us back into the shell and into the void. And I think that there's this great awakening and remembrance that community is so important and that we need to be a part of that. And so even our fairs that we do, I
Mm-hmm.
love that as much for, the business aspect as just the community aspect. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yes, there's really beautiful healing fairs available that are
yeah.
really fun and community oriented to be a part of. Yeah, I love that. So, Jeff, you talked a little bit about this, but what would you say you notice in terms of people you work with? What shifts do people you work with most experience with your work?
I think we've talked about it a little bit, and you just hinted at it in one of our earlier comments. I think that, in the deeper sessions that I do in that quantum healing space, um, I think that it's being able to pull ourselves out of survival mode and, find a 100,000 foot view of our life and this space that we're supposed to be in. Identify patterns and blocks that we've been, either consciously or unconsciously trapped in, and remember that we are in control of those things and that we have important things to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a difficult thing sometimes to do on our own. And so facilitating that, I think, really just gives people the opportunity to quiet everything else around them, go within, and draw out those remembrance items. What am I
Mm-hmm.
here to do? I'm not a victim of this. I have choice in this. I've chosen this path. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and also honor some gratitude that we can find for the life.
Mm-hmm.
When we're in survival mode, it's hard to look back on the good moments and what we're abundantly blessed with. And sometimes the trip up is even in that. And
Mm-hmm.
so, in holding that space, I see that pretty often too, where when we get a chance to quiet and find some peace and work through this life, most people have blessings that maybe they've forgotten to honor.
Mm-hmm.
And remember that this is not our plan to make ourselves suffer. It's really this blessing that we gave ourselves, this opportunity to feel all the things and do all the things in this
Yeah.
short glimpse that our um, soul body is experiencing in the
Mm-hmm.
physical form.
Yeah. And that
Yeah,
suffering really has this opportunity to help us transform,
it does.
create create these new patterns, new beliefs. You said it's hard to do it on your own. I can totally understand and relate to that. When you're in your own muck, it's really hard to see yourself in your
Yeah,
own patterns. And
yeah,
that's why we see so many people repeating the same pattern after pattern after pattern. I've done it.
yeah.
Uh, I mean, my whole life I've done it. And
Yep.
when you get to the point of like, oh crap, I'm doing it again.
Mhm.
No, I'm going to stop doing it. But
Yeah,
it took somebody else. It took my spiritual counselor to look at me and say, Elaine, let's stop and think about this for a minute. Do you
yeah,
see the pattern? Do you see the wound that needs to be healed? And yeah, okay, I see it now. I'm going to heal that now. I'm going to do that inner child work that I need to do to heal this wound. For
yeah,
sure. But I like your ideas of we're not victims. Like this isn't happening to us,
yeah,
it's happening for us,
yeah,
for our evolution, for
absolutely.
sure. And you
Yeah,
brought in the idea of finding your purpose, your true purpose, which is something you have done, Jeff. You found your
yeah,
true calling, your true mission in life, your true purpose to support the healing of and transformation of others that are ready for that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, what is your kind of if somebody is feeling stuck or disconnected or overwhelmed, what's one very gentle piece of advice or just a gentle place for them to begin with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I think awareness to it is probably the best place to start. we have to move away from the unconscious pattern and block into the recognition that that's what that is. And that sounds very simple, but speaking from again from that firsthand place, we can be very stubborn. And so sometimes we want to ignore that pattern. Sometimes we kind of downplay it, and that pulls away from the awareness, the awakening to that piece. And so, from an interpersonal standpoint, um, there are a lot of both clinical and spiritual approaches that embrace that awareness as being the first tool. Like, I
Awareness.
have this problem, and just coming into belief and, um, moving away from the guilt and shame that is associated with that, of like, this is a trip up that I have, and then and kind of bringing that shadow piece forward into the light, and now then you can kind of look at why and how do I repair it. And so probably most simply is awareness, is identify
Mm-hmm.
what is this trip up? What is this hang up? Is it
Yeah.
an issue in relationships? Is that rooted, like you said, in the childhood, in patterns that are familial or, rooted in other relationship trauma? And
Mm-hmm.
then starting
Yeah.
to do that healing, like you mentioned, that
Mm-hmm.
repair and nurture and heal process where,
Mm-hmm.
it's identified, you recognize that that is who you are and what you're prone to do
Mm-hmm.
as far as making mistakes, and that you don't have
Mm-hmm.
to be that anymore. Um,
Yeah. When you say awareness, it makes me think about pausing to hear your own thoughts or pausing to hear the words you speak.
mm,
Like if the words you speak are like, oh, this life sucks, or why is everybody doing this to me? And why, like noticing those thoughts, becoming aware of them, because those are really our blocks to our brilliance, is how I would describe it in the words that I like to use.
yeah,
But but so it's like paying very close attention with awareness. I think that we're saying this. I think this is what you're saying.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah, would
Yeah,
agree. It
yeah.
can be in our thought patterns, in our how we express ourselves. It can
Hmm.
just be in that moment where, maybe it's a small thing. Maybe, you're prone to anger and you haven't been able to catch yourself in that moment, and then, you're getting upset for whatever reason. Maybe it's traffic or with the kids or a partner where you can find, like you said, find a break in that moment and just wonder, why is this happening?
Hmm.
Is this truly
Yeah,
because of the situation, or is this,
yeah.
rooted somewhere else? And then you can work up. Why do I put myself in situations that arise anger? Or, why do I have these relationships that hang up in these particular areas?
Hmm.
Um, or why do I have
Hmm.
people around me that allow me, when we talk about things vibrating away, why are there these people around me, that put me into that uncomfortable place or,
Hmm.
low vibrational place?
Hmm.
Yeah,
hmm Great idea for folks who are ready to become unstuck. Love
absolutely.
that. Thank you for sharing that, Jeff. And then
Yeah.
our final question before we share some info on how people can get in touch with you is, what would you say living brilliantly means to you?
Hmm.
What does being brilliant mean to you, or living
When
brilliantly?
I heard that, I really loved it, and I don't use the word brilliant as often as I want to or I should, and I love that term. To me, it made me think of authenticity.
Hmm.
Of just being the bright light being star that you are. I think that the word brilliant is so open, and I like that. Shining bright, offering those gifts that you have, vibrancy and vitality, um, positivity and authenticity, just embodying this love,
Hmm.
light, everything good, positive piece is what I feel when I hear
Hmm.
brilliant. I just see this
Hmm.
um, shining, bright star, and um, yeah, I want to use the word brilliant more. So,
I love that. I
yeah.
love that. I love your thoughts about that too. The bright, shining star, the authentic being that we all are.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. So, Jeff,
Yeah.
how would somebody get in touch with you if they wanted to work with you?
Yeah, appreciate that. Um, Probably the easiest way through technology these days would just be to go to my website. It's thespiritwithinus.co, C-O. There's a way to get a hold of me there. Um, and I don't do any elaborate scheduling that way quite yet. And so you'll just send me an email. Healing at thespiritwithinus.co is also that email address. Um, Go to the Be Brilliant Network and go to our teacher portal. I know that there's an avenue through that to get a hold of us. You've done a great job of allowing member participation, and so through chat and messaging in that way is a way to do it. Um, I have a number of other groups that I host that you can find through my website as well. And so if you're a community member of the meetup groups, I have some spaces that are there as well that you can find at thespiritwithinus.co. So
Wonderful. I love your beautiful feather logo that you have too. Just
yes, the
this,
feather.
yeah, the energy, just this softness and floating and
Yeah.
very simplicity. It's very beautiful.
Thank
And
you.
so, Jeff, thank you for being here. And we know that as we heal ourselves, we are healing our planet, and we want to see a planet that feels good, that is healthy, and a place
Yeah.
that we actually want to be living in. So, thank you for doing your work in the world. Thank you for being a
Mm.
part of Be Brilliant Network. Our mission at Be Brilliant Network is to awaken brilliance through experiential learning, healing, and conscious connection. All of our classes are free. Come and join us. We've got about 20 classes right now, and we are here to support your well-being and your brilliance in the world. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you all. Aho.
Oh.
Looking past my reflection, thinking about what you mentioned. It was supposed to